Exercise 903 is about measures of central tendency. Now, you've done most of this before. It is a revision exercise, so I'm going to skim through pretty quickly, but just point out the things that you may not have seen in as much detail before. So we should all know how to find the mean. You add up the scores, divide by how many there are. If you've got a frequency table, it's the sum of the fx divided by the sum of the f. I'll explain that one a little bit more. Okay, so let's look at these examples. Finding the mean, add them up, divide by how many. In this second example, we've got a frequency table. Now, it's essentially the same thing. If you added, you have 5 threes. If you added up those 5 threes, they would add up to 15. You've got 12 fours. If you added up those 12 fours, you get 48. If you add up the 3 fives, you get 15. If you add up the 1 6, you get that 6. If you add up all the scores, the sum of all the scores, you get 84. The frequency is how many we've got. So there are 21 scores. Divide those, you've got the mean. So this is the sum of all the scores. This is how many scores there are. Okay, in your calculator, the full instructions are here. I suggest you either pause or look at the still shot and go through this in great detail and play with it as much as you can. Have a good play, especially with the stuff where it says do shift 1. These are the arrows at the top of your calculator. It's got the little 4 arrows, so down arrow, right arrow, down arrow. Follow through these instructions in great detail. Have a go at doing it. It's these 2 examples, but using your calculator. And just something about notation, if we have X bar, we use that for the sample mean. So if we've done a survey on just a sample of the people, we would use that one. Whereas mu, Greek letter mu, like mu, that's the population mean. So if we've surveyed every single person in our population, then we would use that one. Now that doesn't, when I say population there, that's not necessarily the population of the country, it's the population of our target audience, basically. So if we want to know something about, for example, the average age of students at school, we could survey 5 students in each year group or something like that, or 5% of each year group, and use that as the sample mean, or we could survey every single person in the school and do the population mean. Okay, just for grouped data, you use your X as the class center, so these are the numbers rather than those. So remember, we're just assuming 3 people, or there were 3 4.5s. There were 7 14.5s and there were 8 24.5s. So anyone who's put between 20 and 29 counts as a 24.5. So it's these 2 columns that go in your calculator. To find the mean, it's still the sum of this one divided by the sum of that one. Okay, mode is the most common score, the one that appears the most. For grouped data, we look at the modal class, so the most common class. The median is the middle score or the average of the middle 2. You've seen those before. So some quick examples, finding the median in the mode, a list of data, 6 numbers here. So when there's an even number, the middle is between the 5 and the 7. So the average of 5 and 7, so 6. The mode, there are actually 2 modes here. You can have more than one mode. You can also have no mode. So 5 and 7 are both the mode here. With this example, if there are more numbers, there's a really easy shortcut to find where the mode is. N is the number of scores. So the number of scores plus 1 divided by 2 gives you the position of the median. So here there are 11 scores, so 11 plus 1 over 2 gives you 6. So the 6th score is the median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's the median there, it's 2. The mode of that data set is also 2. There are 6 2s there, but only 3 1s and 2 7s. So the mode is also 2. For this example, the mode is 4. There are 34s, but not as many of the other numbers. There are 70 scores altogether, so the position of the median is 71 over 2, so 35.5. So that means it's halfway between the 35th and the 36th score. So the first 27 scores are all 3s, we're not up to the median yet. The next 30 scores are all 4s. So the 35th and the 36th score are both 4s, so the median is 4. If you have grouped data, So here I've done continuous grouped data, so from 4 to just under 8, from 8 to just under 12. Here's our class centres. Okay, our modal class here is 16 to 20 because there are 25 of those. So that's our modal class. There are 50 scores altogether. So the median is halfway between the 25th and the 26th score. The 25th, these all add to 25. So there's 25 here and 25 there. So halfway between the 25th and the 26th is just between this class and this class. That borderline number is 16, so the median is 16. Now, not all of your calculators are going to be able to find the median. Some of them may not have this depending on how old your calculator is. But enter the data, press AC, then shift 1 for stat, and then 6 for min-max, 4 for median. Okay, you can also find the median from an ogive, the cumulative frequency polygon. So remember, that's the red line on the graph. And this is really simple. So you don't need to do the n+1. There are 35 scores, because remember the top of cumulative frequency is the total number of scores. It's accumulating. So halve that, 17.5. Find 17.5, draw a horizontal line until you hit the ogive and go straight down. This came down in the 9 column, so the median is 9. Also, we can find the mode here. The mode is where you've got the biggest jump. So 7 jumps by 10, 8 jumps by 5, 9 jumps by 15, 10 jumps by 5. So 9 is the mode. That's the most common. It's got the biggest jump from here to here. In number 2, 12, 13, 14, 15 is our data. Our highest one goes up to 8, so half of 8 is 4, so a horizontal line of 4. Now this met the ogive at a joining point, so straight down from there means halfway between 13 and 14. So 13 plus 14 over 2, or 13.5 is our median, halfway between the two. Our mode here, again, the biggest jump. Now it looks like we have 2 modes. 13 jumps us up 3 squares. 15 also jumps us up 3 squares. So 13 and 15 are both modes. Now this last one, if you look at these numbers on the x-axis, 32, 36, 40, 44, because they're spaced apart, this is grouped data. So these are class centres. It should really say that on the axis as well. All of these graphs should really have title, axes labelled, all of that kind of thing. I'll do that before the still shot. So this one, the top was at 70. So half of 70 is 35. At 35, I've drawn my horizontal line to the ogive and straight down. Now, what you do here is you work out exactly what number you think that might be. You could even get a decimal answer. So from 36 to 40 is adding 4. So this point right here would be 38. So this one here is around about 39. It's actually slightly below 39, but I'm just going to round and call it 39. So you give an exact number there. If these were decimals, you would need to work out, you can estimate that answer. The mode, again, the biggest jump, so it's actually a modal class, I should say. So modal class is this one with the class centre equals 40. We don't know if it's continuous data or discrete data. We just know the class centre is 40. We know that it's 4 across. So you could say 38 to 42. We don't know exactly though what it is. And just a quick note about outliers. So an outlier is a score that's very different from the rest of them. And often we leave outliers out when we're analysing data, but the textbook will suggest when to do that.